Uh-huh. Hello, Sam. How are you?
How are you
I'm
doing?
uh, I'm really great. Thanks for asking. Sorry, I'm recording the video just for the proper interview,
Okay.
and I have some questions for you about your journey as a revenue manager in the company. Because not every startup, you know, can have revenue manager in on a C level. So usually startups is something small, and it's very amazing that you work in a company which is a startup, but also big enough to have such amazing person in the team.
Well, we're not a startup. I mean, we're well established. So we've been in the business for 15 years. We act as like a startup, but we are well established. We're 200 plus, employee company. Uh, you know, uh, we've evolved as a company. So, but yeah, it's definitely very exciting to be focusing on driving the revenues and focusing on how we can actually scale the business and maximize the return on investment from a resource allocation perspective. Yeah, absolutely.
So then, i- as we have a short introduction on that, I think that I also should tell a little bit more about Crunch Dubai. What is that? How that works, and why it's interesting to hear your thoughts for the audience of the Crunch Dubai. So, Crunch Dubai is a media resource that was established last year. We started from writing simple articles about basic things in UAE, about in Dubai, about writing. This is this bank. This is their requirements. This is this company. They raised this much money, and so on. But with the time, we noticed that a lot of people are joining. They listening. They are reading. They want to be highlighted on Crunch Dubai as well. And the majority of the people, they are interested in the real stories, and they interested in the knowledge. And Crunch Dubai itself, it's a media platform about lifestyle in the business, in the region, about investments, about startups, and about like financial things that happening us to earn, helping us to grow the region itself. So we might say it's like kind of tech crunch, but local. So Hussam, can you tell a little bit more about yourself? Like what do you do? How many years you in this industry to help our readers and writers, sorry, readers and listeners to get a little bit more? What is that? How's the business in UAE works? How is to be C-level manager itself?
Sure, sure. So basically, I've been around. So I've evolved from I'm a telecom engineer by study, and I did my executive MBA in 2010. But I'm an engineer, graduated as an engineer in 1989, so it was quite a long time ago. So I've been around, as I can say, and most of my career is basically around using technology, using engineering to actually position solutions. So engineers are primarily problem solvers, and I think in any way or context, I think one of the biggest lessons learned in life is if we all sell something. We're all trying to position ourselves, our companies, our products. But I think it's very important that instead of talking about yourself, talk about your company. It's more about listening to your prospective customers and trying to understand their business perspective, trying to understand their customer. And I think this is where this is the kind of like the long learning, life on the job learning. So I became, with time, more effective in understanding the customer business, putting myself in their shoes. What makes them successful, and accordingly, then aligning what we do as a technology provider, as a solution provider, to actually help deliver value to them. Because at the end of the day, people buy from people, but they need to see that there's value to them. And as much as you talk about your product and about solution, unless you map it to their business, they won't be able to understand how you can deliver value. So I've moved from different things. I started my career with Hewlett Packard back in Saudi, actually. in the area of telecommunications. So they had a division for test and measurement, which obviously eventually they sold out. Actually, this is how Hewlett Packard started, actually, in Silicon Valley. And then I was headhunted by Cisco, a networking conglomerate, in 1997 to set up their offices in Saudi. So there was no internet in Saudi Arabia, so we basically had to. So Cisco is kind of like perceived as the plumbers of the internet. So one of the biggest tasks that I felt that we need to do is actually, and the timing was amazing because Saudi was moving into that. They kind of like privatized the telecommunication. They set up a private company called Saudi Telecom, and our timing was amazing because this is the time where Saudi was ready for the internet. So we became, and I was intimately part of the process of actually setting up the infrastructure, with obviously a set of engineers and other people. But I kind of like more presented the business aspect of things, and we actually built the IP, the core infrastructure of the internet in Saudi Arabia. It started with a very interesting project. It was one of the largest projects that Cisco had in that area. It started at like $15 million at that time, 1999. And now this core, this infrastructure grew to become about $1.5 billion. So it's very important, to ensure that you're early in the game. It really gives you that position, that strong position that you can build on going forward. But anyway, I did Cisco with Saudi, and then I moved back to Beirut, where I'm originally from, with my family, managing different regions, different territories. And then basically, in parallel, I was setting up my own business, my first startup in content creation, curated content creation for cooking. It was called Cook and Eat, because I had, I'm
Wow.
in a different life. I'm a foodie, so I wanted to basically share passion, and more importantly, create a platform where people share recipes in a digital context. And then I kind of like I evolved from Cisco, and I moved into consultancy, with focusing on a specific. It's a very boutique consultancy out of Dubai, focusing on smart cities and how you actually smart buildings, smart city. How do you use technology to actually effectively create efficiency in buildings and make them more green? This was back in 2008. And it was a short experience, about 2 years, but I've learned a lot because I was managing two offices, one in Riyadh, one in Beirut. Uh, but I decided then to focus on my own venture, build it up, get some funding. Was one of the first actually who got funded in Lebanon from a VC there. Uh, and but I had obviously, and I kind of monetized that from basically creating a mobile app, which was very early at that time in 2010. It was still in the early phases, where people would be able to download it, especially in Saudi during Ramadan. Ramadan is it's a big festivity in this region, where people actually cook a lot and eat a lot. So I was monetizing because I was doing revenue sharing. When people download, it's a subscription model. Anyway, to cut the story short, I moved into at that time I had some time, so I did some part-time advisory to the Minister of Telecom in Lebanon, focusing on transformation and so on. So, and then I kind of like merged my Cook and Eat company with a Jordanian company. We both created another company that had a combination of the best of both worlds. Like the Jordanian company was doing video recipes. Things were moving into tower. People were consuming videos versus actually reading, because cooking, it's all about vision, right? So we've kind of like merged the content, and we created a new venture called Atbaki, and we raised around $1.7 million at that time.
Wow, it's
Yeah,
really impressive. So,
yeah, yeah.
how that happened that you found this Jordan company and you like boom decided to merge?
No, it's not boom. It's basically you want to scale, you want to grow the business. So, and at the time, you have limited resources. So for you, it's all about, is 1 + 1 = 2, or 1 + 1 = 10, right? So and then obviously you need to look at the synergy between the two founders, and if there's complementary components, because one will become a CEO, one will become, or it could be co-CEO, but eventually one will be accountable. So there was that kind of element. There's very clear synergies both at the business level. There's a multiplier factor. There's very little overlap, so there's very complementary skill set in the teams. And both strategic shareholders actually were supported that, and we had to actually we had to kick out a lot of clean up the cap table. It's not that easy to actually bring in fresher investment. It's an interesting, this could be a separate deep dive, about how you actually can go through this process, because that's how you can actually get fresher funding.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
exactly.
mean, that's some of the drivers of how you basically look at. So it's very important. Sometimes we try to do everything ourselves, but the reality is you can always look outside and find, well, maybe if I needed to do this and I find someone we can actually work together. Either it could be a strategic partnership, it could be a joint venture, or it could be a merger and acquisition. So it's very important to not to actually continue to be closed-minded on what you only have and you want to build everything. No, what are the things that you are good at, you focus on, and then how can we basically deliver a better proposition, a better experience to the world? Maybe I need to find someone who can do this differently, right? And then, so I mean, that could be an area that people could investigate and visualize differently.
It's actually a very nice point about like merging, how people uniting two businesses under one roof, and it's one thing, and when one company is acquiring another company, and this company has more resources, it's easier for them to get other company on board. But the story when just two founders unite, like merging their startups on the approximate same level, right? To
Exactly.
bring impact, it's completely different story. I think it's like, exactly the reason for another discussion, just to figure out how that possible. We as a part of In5 acceleration program, we also always like having in mind, okay, which structure for the company to choose later. We heard that Hub 71 is offering amazing structure for the startup. Oh, I heard that in this free zone we cannot attract investments, or they will ask us to move our company into ADGM. So it's always the hottest topic ever. Each boot camp, every time there is experts that helping us specifically in the region to structure company properly, because as we know in US it's much easier, like Delaware company, and you have shares there which you can easily distribute between new shareholders, and safe note works there. But what to do in the current region is a completely different story, because we don't have the same tools and instruments for that.
Yeah.
uh,
And just to give you a perspective, these are companies in two different countries, right? So it's working across two different countries. So it's still the teams continue to work, and eventually we formed like cross countries teams, which was very interesting.
Makes sense, absolutely. And I have one more question now, currently about the industry that you involved in this particular moment. So we interested, what is in case of fintech currently in the market? Why you choose that company to join? What is interesting happening? Maybe not only in UAE, and in which countries you working currently? Because as I understood, you provide already developed fintech solutions for other companies, right?
Correct.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
So basically, we live the era of banking 4.0. Okay. So I'll explain what is banking 4.0. So banking 1.0 is when you can only bank at the bank itself, at the branch, during the banking hours. So you cannot do any banking service beyond that. Banking 2.0 is when they figure out that they can extend an ATM machine, it was like a revolutionary thing, that you can still withdraw some cash. So you still have to come to the branch, but at that time it's probably like few branches, so you still have to go there and do this. And then banking 3.0 is basically with the internet revolution. It became very easy it was actually mandatory with all the transformation happening in different verticals, that the financial institutions, financial systems transform, and now through regulation they will be able to deliver almost the financial service through either online, through the web, or through a mobile app. This is what we do today. In different markets. Banking 4.0 is basically where everybody wants to become a bank, right? Or everybody is delivering some element of the banking service. So if you look at your Carrefour app, that you probably you all order from Carrefour online, whether here or in Saudi or Egypt, you'll see there's a wallet called Carrefour Wallet. So when you order online and then you cancel some of the items you already paid, or you return some items, you have the option to basically return the money into that Carrefour wallet, right? Instead of having a return in the card or credit card that takes sometimes few days, and then you want to use the same money immediately. So this is basically a very simple utilization use case of Carrefour having an ability to retain value for you, like create a wallet for you. And we see this across different industries. So banking 4.0 is where banks are seeing the value of selling their assets, whether it's their license, because it's the most difficult, the most valuable thing. License, to get a bank license is very expensive. Or their infrastructure, their banking core, their core banking, their virtual assets, their digital onboarding, their KYC process, know your customer, loan management system. And there will be entities who actually will be able to consume that to deliver a financial service, whether it's an extended consumer lending, buy now, pay later model, or, for example, a way where you can, for example, issue a card, a quick card for you to be able to use it as a prepaid card, a multi-currency card for travel, and so on. So you see the beauty about this transformation, creation of new banks, digital bank like Revolut. So the whole financial industry is going through this transformation where everybody kind of like trying to find ways where they can deliver a better experience through enabling some element of the banking service in their if you want, in the fabric of the user experience. So the beauty about Fu is, the company I'm working for, is it has this technology that connects with the bank, connects with the fintech, that enables this consumption, this ability to use this infrastructure in a very seamless way. So people don't have to write codes and develop codes, spend a year doing this. They can basically just tap into the technology or get the technology. It's licensed, and they'll be able to enable a wallet, for example, like in the case of Carrefour, within their delivery. It doesn't have our name, so it's a B2B service. So this is, for me, is an exciting era because it's a global phenomenon. So we sell across all the world. We have customers in Costa Rica, we have customers in Bulgaria, but our focus is actually the region here. It's going through a massive transformation. Fintech is booming. I mean, we have the first unicorn in the region, which is Tabi. They just raised around $150 million.
I heard that they raised around 40% of all venture capital in the region itself.
But this is a testimony of the need of the kind of like excitement. So basically, think of us as the enablement of all these services. So we're the technology behind all this that can make things happen, because we integrate with banks, we integrate with the likes of Visa, MasterCard, we integrate with the local payment scheme, we integrate with the likes of UAE Pass in the UAE to enable people to basically verify themselves. So so it becomes very easy for people to create and innovate solutions. So they don't have to worry about the building blocks. We're like the Lego, right? So you basically take a wallet, take a card, take a I don't know a mobile app, then you plug them in and you come up with something completely. So basically, we are the driver of innovation, the driver of creativity using our technology.
That sounds, very inspiring. In case that, okay, I will not, for example, build the brand from scratch. I will build a solution that I will sell to brands. But actually, it's not a simple thing to sell it, right? Because you need to have a proper business development and so on. And like what I see between the startups, the biggest problem there is exactly sales, and even to bigger companies and enterprises, which I assume you work right with the enterprises in the majority. So, and because you are as a revenue manager, now can you tell us a little bit more? How do you influence on these streams? Is there is sales under your control somehow? Do you put them KPIs? How do they achieve this? Enterprise sales, because it's very important.
So basically, my mandate is to ensure that I basically help the company drive revenue. Find opportunities to maximize return on investment. So, driving the sales organization, driving the channel organization, building a channel program. So making sure that. So, what are the best way for us to scale the business? How can we grow to become $100 million business in the coming few years? In the shortest possible way. So it's not just about having direct sales. How do you design the whole infrastructure? How do you basically look at, understanding the evolution of the market and what is basically happening, and then influencing the product team? What do we need to actually design? What is next down the road? I mean, in addition to their own research from a product perspective, I bring in the market perspective, and I more importantly, so I'm the ambassador of the whole market to the company, but at the same time, actually make sure that I understand the dynamics of the market and how we can basically make sure that we have the right coverage when it comes to the salespeople and the sales program, and more importantly, how can we, partner, because one of the most important thing in life is to understand the concept. It's if you build business and you have in the DNA of that business the concept of partnership, you'll be successful because you understand very well that you cannot do everything on your own. And one of the most scalable way of selling is basically by making it easy for others to see the value of your product and embrace that and bring it to their own sales model. Okay, and that's what we do very well. I mean, this is how Cisco, Microsoft, Oracle, and others actually succeeded in the world. Software business or software as a service, if you want. So basically, we do fintech as a service, software as a service. So that's my role. My role is to understand, to basically to the shareholder, to the executive committee, to whoever, how we can maximize the return on investment. Where are the opportunities, and what kind of investment we need when it comes to resources, so we can basically cover that opportunity to maximize that return on investment. That's really my role.
Okay, so we may say that the whole company relies on your skills, because if you will not achieve proper revenue, like I mean, as a company, if your ROI will have low level, so that means that company will not get enough
Cash flow.
valuation, will not grow enough. So how did you build that skill for yourself? How that happened that you become enough, skilled and effective to make this company achieve 100 million valuation?
We're not 100 million valuation, but
Oh,
we're growing. My mandate is to grow the company to become $100 million
oh,
revenue
per month,
per year.
per year. Okay.
We're not there yet. I mean, we're doing very well. We've been growing at the rate of 60% every year over the last couple of years when I joined. But the idea here is, how do you build the program to ensure that we grow exponentially, not like grow with the growth of the economy, creating new markets in the most cost-effective way. So yes, so how did I get there? Basically by starting at the very bottom. I started as an account manager back in the days of HP, and then I became a territory manager with Cisco. So you build skills, and again, it's all about, and then how do you actually, but more importantly, selling yourself is different from building a team and inspiring a team. So I think what is very critical, and this is just like any other leader, it is very important to have a very clear mandate, very clear vision, for them to feel that they are actually a contributor. They're not just basically only selling; they are truly contributing to the others. They're basically bringing value. They play that role of trusted advisor context. Because it's very exciting, because everything we do, it's actually making others successful. Creating a lot of win-win model. So how do you basically continue to inspire? So by continuing to talk about where we're going, how we can be more effective, how do you continue to basically influence others? How do you basically drive value for yourself and for the extended ecosystem that you work with? So leaders are visionary people, but at the same time, they actually walk the talk. So you go in there with them, you actually show, work with them, you support them, you give them the opportunity to learn, fail and learn. So we have times where we fail, we did not do either because we did not do a good job, or we missed an element from the decision making process. We did not see a competitor, or there's a lot of things but that's fine, that's part of the learning. But it's very important that you reflect back and take that learning back into the organization, and more importantly, to set people for success. So not everybody could become a proper account manager or business development manager or channel manager. So some people might not have the skill set. It's very important to help them understand where they can bring value in the business, maybe contributing from a different angle, like program management or project management and so on.
So we may say that it's a process, just step by step, with understanding your goals, contributing for the bigger picture or not. So I'm always also curious how many people under your management currently. So how do you how do you measure the effectiveness of your team?
Yeah. So you should not have. You should always have delegation. You should have. You should manage teams of teams, right? So you should. I don't think you should have more than 8 to 10 people maximum, because I know that people that can manage 20, 30 people, but I don't think that's very scalable. Uh, Unless it's basically like a dotted line, you're reporting to that individual, because uh, the people that you're directly managing, you have this one-to-one relationship. But for me, it's not only about managing the people that are under my dotted line. It's about basically inspiring the whole company, right? It's about being able to reach out to everybody and touch their inner drives. Basically help them uh, get to understand you as an individual, that you are reachable, you're someone that they can learn from you, and you can learn from them. It's the minute that you die is not when you die. The minute you die is when you actually think that you don't need to learn anymore. This is your intellectual death context. So I think it's very, very interesting to be very open-minded. You can be very, very tough. You can be someone who's very serious, but at the same time fun to be with, because it's a very stressful type of environment, because we have targets, we have very aggressive deadlines. We work with customers who wants to get their product ready in a specific time. There are a lot of interdependencies, and sometimes it doesn't work. So people work across over the weekends, they work on overtime. So you need to be there. You cannot just basically assume that people are working and you're sitting on the beach and you're just enjoying your tequila. No, you need to be very much as part of that process. So if they're putting skin in the game, you need to be with them. So even if it's not related to sales, but they are working with your clients, they're helping them out. So you need to extend yourself to be with them as well. So these are the kind of things that as leaders, people look up for. But at the same time, you continue to evolve and learn as well.
Do you connect with the clients personally if there's some complicated case?
Absolutely. You have to be on top. You have to be always the client. Again, I said people buy from people, right? So there's you first, especially in this region, you people establish. I was just on a call with a client, potential client in Saudi, just a couple of hours ago, and you know what he said after the call? He said, "Let's meet for a coffee. Let's not meet out of the office." Why is that? Because he see a potential that we can work together, and he wants to get to know me personally, right? So, so that's very important, that you have that personal relationship, that you are reachable. But more importantly, when things are not working well, you need to be very much involved. Not to take over from the team. You're supporting the team, but the customer understand that you are very much involved. You are there to ensure that they're comfortable. They feel that the company, the whole company is committed. Although we might have like few engineers working on them, but if the leadership is involved, they feel like the whole company is prioritizing them. Okay, and we do that with a lot of customers, right? But that's the beauty. So they become the number one. They become the most special customer at that time. It's like when you have a sick kid, right? You might have 5 kids, and that when your kid is sick, you focus on that particular kid, right, until he's healthy. So he feels that very special at that time, and that's very important. That's how you deal with customers.
Wow. So we may say that every customer is valuable to focus on him to bring enough, value to bring him stay with you for a long time, or there is some particular clients that just go on the general pipeline.
So most of our customers are very long-term customers, because traditionally we've been dealing with them directly. So now with our reseller model, our channel model, so we have customers through partners. So these are not our direct customers. They are the customer of our partners. But yes, strategic customers, we definitely have this very long-term relationship. You want to retain that. There will be ups and downs that relationship, of course, because there will be tough times. But again, as I said, as long as the customer feels that you're putting everything in your effort to help them out, you are focusing on their win. You wanna help them become successful, and you wanna address their issues. Then they feel that you are very loyal, and they become loyal in return. Normally, that's what happens. There are customers, unfortunately, in some markets, who actually think of a lose-win model. They want to win, and they don't care about you as a supplier, as a vendor, as a partner. This is not a partnership. This is basically it's like you're trying to buy a commodity at the most cost-effective way. So you just buy something, maximize your price to get the best price, and then you just throw things away. You don't care, right? We don't like to work with these kind of customers because we don't feel that we can bring value to them, because price is not only one element. So you can be as well selective about which customer you want to work with.
I saw some statistics that actually B2B clients doesn't care about price much if it brings enough of return
They,
of revenue for them
they,
later.
they do. Trust me, they do. Especially when you have enterprise clients, large clients, where they have a department for procurement, for example, who actually always try to find ways where they can try to show value by actually showing that they can actually reduce price, or by bringing other competition. But yeah, I mean, this is their job. That's where. But yeah, because you're not. It's not selling to a department. There could be multiple organizations within that organization. And you're right. And sometimes it could be a organization that they always see the value of you're helping them make more money, and they want to continue to work with you.
If we will jump back to the partnerships, you said it's one of the most important things. And later on, you said also that your clients also is your partners. Did you bring some specific partnership program for that? How do you manage these exact partnerships?
So our customers, they need to feel that we are their partners in success. Okay, resellers or partnerships that are actually in the area of, they bring us they bring an element of our value, whether it's our product or our technology or our know-how, into their value chain. Then they're reselling that, they're reselling us. Even we have customers like consultancy firms like EY or PwC or Strategy, and who actually bring our expertise within a delivery. Okay, because in this case, they are reselling our knowledge. But we have other resellers who actually take our technology, like Network International in the region. Sorry, who basically integrate some of our solution within their overall solution, and the customer see that they have an end-to-end solution, right? So it complements their value proposition. So how do you manage that? Basically by first of all building the right partnership model, where you understand which are the different partners that you want to acquire, and go after that. And then basically create a partnership program where they have access to the knowledge. It's not relying on an individual. So if that individual or that resource is not there, that's how you scale the business. So you create a partnership portal where people can download information about the product, technology, case studies, presentations. You give them all the sales tools so they can, you empower them, you train them, and you support them, right? So their success is very important because this is how you scale. Because at the end of the day, I cannot hire 100 salespeople, right? I mean, I can, but that's not the way you scale.
Yeah.
It becomes very expensive. I focus on building the product. That is where my investment is. And I build a partnership program where people can use our IP, our technology.
So, did you use any existing partnership solutions? There are some companies that provide referral accounts by subscription, or you develop something under you.
No, we built this in-house. Everything is in-house. Remember,
Awesome.
we are developers. So we can use our own people to develop things internally.
Makes
Oh, but
sense.
yeah, but I mean, if there are things that are out off the shelf, we will use it, of course. I mean, we're very much open to. It's not everything we build because my resources are expensive. But in this case, we've used our own resources.
Uh, Current clients that you already work with, how you may classify them? Is it like a billion-dollar company, or smaller, or bigger, or do you work with the governance?
We work with Majid Al Futtaim, right? The largest retailer in the world, 670 million customers, 24 countries. We work with a fintech in the out of the IFC, which is just they're a startup. We work with legacy banks, who've been in the business. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. We work with neobanks like Al Maria Community Bank, which is out of Abu Dhabi. It's a new digital bank, completely digital, right? We work with companies like delivery companies who wants to potentially issue cards to pay their riders, like a prepaid card and stuff. Especially a lot of these guys don't have a bank account, so this is one way of actually paying them through a prepaid card. So yeah, no, I mean, we have a very wide range of customers. Again, everybody wants to have an element of either they want to deliver that as part of the service, or they basically sell this as a service to other customers, like microfinancing, microlending, banking services, and so on. So yeah, and obviously each customer has a different approach, different complexity in the decision-making process, and so on.
Amazing. As a startup, for example, like even like my startup, right? I'm trying to work with small startups, but for me, sometimes it's not very. My ROI in this case is very low because I spent a lot of efforts for the start to acquire this client, and actually their average check is very low, and sometimes the startup is just dying, and I and in LTV of this client is very small. But in case of bigger clients, like Tcom Group, for example, which are trying to become clients of startups, but they cannot make a real deal with us because like they do not trust us. They say try to sell us, and there is a bunch of startups that runs to the office of a Tcom pitching, trying to sell to them, but at the end of the day they like rejecting or putting us in the middle with some agency which is actually buying service from us, and then we supply the Tcom later. So we may say that there is a problem of trust with the bigger companies. How do you overcome it? Is there some particular ways that you use?
So it depends on. I think it's more about maybe managing the. If you have small suppliers, it becomes difficult to scale to manage a lot of small suppliers. And I agree and I agree that it could be an issue of trust because it's about continuity. Because I think it's very important, especially if you're buying a solution or a technology or a service, and you're happy with it. It's most of the whether it's Tcom or any other company, they want to have continuity, right? Because it's costly to go and actually redo things, right? Explain to the customer, the supplier, the vendor, how they operate. So if you understand the business, you're doing a good job. So I think one of the most important thing is for them to understand that you can scale, right? You can grow. Yes, you're still small, but you obviously have the potential. You have the financials, stability. So you might need to be able to expose and give them ideas about that you're there for a long time, right? At least for the foreseeable future, and and it's about building relationship. I think it's I think it's more about someone within that organization believe in you and see the value of you, and they will become your advocate. So it's always to find this, what I call them, the champion, your advocate within an organization, because they will basically drive the organization to get you in, right? But then you need to deliver, because it's very important not to let, because that champion basically put his or her credibility on the line for you. So yes, it is tough. It takes time. A lot of these large organizations. So I would advise to selectively initially focus on which one that you want, because it's very important to start to build a customer base. Sometimes you can do services, or either for free or just to get these initial learning, or trials, right? Or experiment. We're more than happy to give you like a free trial, or just to build the enough momentum. It's part of your marketing. Think of it as part of your marketing cost. It's part of your marketing budget. It's the acquisition cost, under your acquisition cost. But yes, until you have a certain volume, the first five customers are the most difficult one, and then the next 15 become a little bit less difficult, and then the next 30 are actually becomes easier, because now you have a references, you have people who can actually you can actually refer them, they can call on them for references. Yes, we've tried them, they're excellent. The first five are the most critical, that you need to find ways where you acquire them, not they acquire you.
Yeah, we may say that in this case, we should, like, initially startups should put effort also on the companies that live longer, which become your capital, even like invest themselves just to get this referral clients.
Yeah,
Will be important.
absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a T-com. There's a lot of companies like T-com, but it could be a smaller ticket, but still have the basically the if you want the heaviness, the weight, the reputation, if you want, in the market.
We, almost at the end of our conversation, and I have some question and maybe ask from you. Can you recommend any books or courses, or where maybe to apply to young entrepreneurs, young specialists, those who want to achieve success in their career? Maybe there's something in your mind which you can share.
Reading the Elon Musk biography, I think it's one of the most inspirational one, because there's a lot of ups and downs in it. So I highly recommend that. What other books I can think of? I think it's a combination of, there are a lot of books out there, talking about atomic habits and how you can organize your time. I think it's more about understanding what are your areas of weaknesses, right? Uh, One of the most effective one that I see, it's very important that entrepreneur have, is the business canvas, business model canvas. I don't know if you know about this. So this is where you actually be able to summarize your whole value chain of your business in one slide, right? Who's your customer, how you get there, what channel, what is their unique value proposition. So it has a very balanced model. So I mean, there's a lot of tools out there but I think for me, it's more about understanding what are the areas of weakness I have, and how I can basically complement that. Not necessarily to become better, or to become. I will, some weakness, you always have that weakness, but you can reduce the impact of that weakness on that. And talking to people, networking. There's a lot of knowledge that you'll be very surprised how much knowledge you can get from people, talking to people, and people are they will willing to give the time. So I would highly recommend for entrepreneurs to actually reach out to people and ask them, can I get a half an hour coffee time with you? I'd like to learn more about what got you there. You'll be very surprised that people will give from their time.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. I think we inspired at least all readers of Crunch Dubai, which is currently around 2,000 people from organic search that are visiting monthly. There are also those people who coming from LinkedIn and so on. I think that we will inspire even more to become, entrepreneurs, become really great specialists and advanced people into startups, tech, and companies, specifically in the region. And I also want to highlight that Crunch Dubai extended to Crunch Riyadh. So there is a new website launched for this, and some of the articles from Crunch Dubai they will go to Crunch Riyadh if it's about the region itself. There is also one guy who started to write topics on the Crunch Riyadh, and we open for people who are ready to contribute and publish their own articles there. It will be amazing, not only Crunch Riyadh, but Crunch Dubai as well. So, Sam, if you have some ideas to share, please welcome, share with us. We will publish it there.
Sure. More than happy to do that.
Thank you so much for your time. It was pleasure to talk to you, to get some knowledge out of you. So you're like exact example of what you just said. Just talk to people and you will get a lot of knowledge about what do they do and a lot of advices. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Pleasure
Thank you.
to see you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.